Good morning and thank everyone for being here today. On behalf of the Hawaii Community Correctional Center and the Department of Public Safety, I want to express our deepest regrets for the undue duress our era caused the Hawaii Island community as it endured this situation caused by our error. We regret having added to your misery over the past 24 hours. Please accept our sincere apology. I want to start by saying that we are grateful to the Hawaii Police Department for arresting Brian Smith. The HPD stepped up in this crisis even while working through their own period of mourning. Now that the inmate is back in custody, we can move forward with focusing on the situation that led up to release from HCCC. The governor has tasked me with personally overseeing the investigation, and I will report back to him with all of our findings as we find them. It is a standard procedure for the Department of Public Safety to conduct a thorough investigation into circumstances surrounding this kind of release. And that is exactly what I intend to do. And as soon as we were notified of the issue yesterday, I directed my staff to begin the investigation. We will be reviewing the pretrial hold procedures to ascertain what happened and at what point in the process things went wrong, so we can assure corrective measures needed are put in place. Because it is an active investigation, we ask that you be patient as we work at identifying these areas of improvement. You likely will have many more questions than I am able to answer at this early phase of the investigation, but please know we acknowledge our error and commit to all efforts to do better. With that, I'll take what questions I can answer now.
Can you elaborate a little bit on why the public was not told until 2 days later from when this happened?
As we expressed earlier, our timeline of notification, we were notified by the Hawaii County Prosecutor's Office. HCCC was at 8:40 yesterday morning. So the reality is we made the release on Tuesday and did not know that it was an error until yesterday morning.
More specifically, whose fault is this? Who is being held accountable?
Well, as I said, we're in the first early phase of the investigation. What happened, if any system, persons, or agencies are part of what happened, that'll be determined through the investigative process.
You're saying you were notified yesterday morning at like 8:40. The release came out, at least to the media, around 2:30 p.m. So what happened between 8:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m.?
In our intent to be open about this, discussions with the Hawaii facility administrator occurred between that administrator and the county prosecutor's office at about 8:40. I was notified of those discussions and precisely what had happened at 11:29. Thereafter, I continued discussions with both the prosecutor's office and my staff at HCCC to ascertain what happened. And as soon as we were able, we put out a notice to the public to let them know that this error had happened some 2.5 days earlier.
But why the 3-hour gap from when you were notified, though, when the release came out? It took that long?
It took a while for us to review the circumstances, to indicate what exactly we thought happened, what documents were or were not in place, and during that period of time, those decisions were made. And as soon as we were comfortable that a notification can be made accurately with proper information, we did that.
Wouldn't it make more sense to get the word out as soon as possible to let the community know what's going on and then go back to find out the fine details about what exactly, how it happened?
Given the opportunity to go back into time, we would not have made the error to begin with. Given the opportunity to have provided notification earlier than we did upon my being notified about 11:30 yesterday, potentially yes, we would have. We did our due diligence. We worked very hard. Our primary responsibility and concern was notifying the public of the erroneous release of this individual, and we did what we did when we did it.
So back in 2017, so this isn't the first time that this has happened. Cannon Cross was accidentally released as well. So how do these things keep happening and going unaccounted for?
Well, the accountability measure follows investigation, and every, as I indicated earlier, every release that occurs this way is investigated thoroughly, and accountability is assigned. Those matters are personnel in nature and not subject to release. So it's not accurate to say that no one's accountable. We really don't publicize those type of things for privacy reasons. We continue to work with a system that is reliant upon hand-to-hand delivery of court documents, interpretation of those documents by correctional staff, and proper enactment of the documentation and the intent of the court in those documents. In this particular case, we, again, readily admit our error.
So that the people responsible for last year's incident were punished?
I would have to go back and look. I came today prepared to answer questions specifically about the Brian Smith erroneous release.
How does this thing, how did this work, this incident this week anyway? How did it trigger him getting released, and was he supposed to go to a court hearing? Is that what was going on Tuesday?
No, as anxious as I am to answer detailed questions, I'm really not prepared at this time. As I indicated, the release occurred as we previously notified everyone on the 24th, and the facility itself was first notified of that error at 8:30 yesterday morning. Details in between still need to be investigated, and I'm very uncomfortable saying anything that I'm not absolutely sure is accurate.
But there's a court document that's saying about relieving the charges, which I believe might cause some of the error from Tuesday. So is that part of what you're looking at, and who actually is the one in charge of actually releasing him when that happened on Tuesday?
That document is one of many that is part of this investigation, and yes, it will be evaluated. Who saw it, who acted upon it, and the evaluation of the information contained therein is part of this investigation. We will get to the bottom of what happened only after we complete a thorough investigation. Again, I ask your patience in allowing us the time and opportunity to investigate the matter.
How does this go unnoticed for 2 days? Are there not routine daily checks?
As I indicated earlier, the staff at HCCC and the Department of Public Safety were not aware that the release had occurred in error. That being said, he was not expected to be at the institution because he was reasonably released. It was an error, and when we found out about the error, we indicated, as I said, we notified the public.
So they were under the impression that he was allowed to be released to the public?
The staff enacting the release on behalf of the Department of Public Safety believed that they had done so correctly, and their error was not pointed out until yesterday morning, as I indicated earlier.
Shouldn't that raise a red flag that someone accused of murder would be released in such a short time? Isn't that unusual, very unusual in every way?
Well, staff at jails face unique responsibilities every day, with hundreds of inmates being intaked and released every single day. They are responsible to assure that we do not over-incarcerate anyone, as well as under-incarcerate anyone. Those decisions are difficult to make, but it's their job. And in this particular case, I will again reiterate, we made an error and acknowledge that.
But a murder suspect would being released like that, wouldn't that sort of ring some sort of alarms with the staff?
I was not there at the time. I don't know what alarms went off or did not go off. Murder certainly is different from a misdemeanor charge, and the investigation will detail exactly what happened, how extensively they looked into the records that resulted in the release, and how the release itself occurred.
His bail was substantially high for the murder charges, correct? I mean, it was, trying to refresh my memory, is it $1 million or so for that he was being held under? Just trying to decipher, was there an issue as far as the paperwork in that process? I mean, was that looked into?
As much as I really want to answer all of those questions that are, the heart and soul of the investigation we'll be conducting, I really can't comment at this point in time. What we do know is that there were documents that held him in jail. There were documents that established his bail. And as I said earlier, the interpretation of those documents and what was on hand is what was evaluated and led to the error that occurred on Tuesday.
So you mentioned that you folks will be looking into areas that within your system that you feel need fine tuning. Can you give us any idea as to what areas you think those are?
Well, we really want to look hard at the process that requires us to receive hand-to-hand court documents and having people need to read, interpret, and enact those actions. The documents and the directives from the court come from the court. We are responsible for enacting those directives, and when and if errors occur based on the human beings involved in that whole process, we need to make improvements. And like I said, we acknowledge fully that in this particular case an error was made.
Has anybody been placed on leave because of this?
No.
Why not?
At this point in time, we haven't investigated enough to determine that there's just and proper cause to take that particular personnel action. If during the course of the investigation, following this first 24 hours, that determination is made, it may follow.
So he called from a business in Captain Cook, right? That's how he asked to turn himself in. Is that correct?
I'm going to defer all questions regarding his apprehension to Hawaii Police Department because I am not privy to those details beyond what was already released by HPD.
I guess my next question is though, how far away is that from where he got released? And do you guys suspect he had any help? Because it doesn't seem like, he had any money.
Again, those are details related to his apprehension and his turning himself in, if that's what he did. All I do know is that he was released from the Hawaii Community Correctional Center in Hilo.
So it may be a little hazy, but will he be charged?
Again, that's part of what's going to be investigated by law enforcement. He was released. He did not escape from prison. He was released by staff there.
What do you say to the public who I think are pretty frustrated, especially those in Hawaii County, and are looking for answers, but at this point really aren't getting any answers of why something like this could happen?
As I indicated earlier, we express our deepest regret for this error, and I ask that the Hawaii community accept not only our apology, but the fact that we will work diligently towards assuring that something like this does not repeat itself in the future. The Hawaii Community Correctional Center staff, who are part of the Hawaii Island community, work very hard at protecting our community. No one feels worse about this error than they do. And again, through the investigative process and internal review, we hope to do much better and promise to do much better in the future.
What kind of additional charges could he face if he is in fact charged, if your investigation takes you guys there?
We are doing an administrative investigation regarding the erroneous release. Any criminal matters, I would defer to HPD and the Hawaii County Prosecutor's Office. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the time today.